The only other thing too is maybe bring it down and low. I want them to be able to see your face the most. So do a check, check.
Money maker. Check, check.
The money maker. Guys, Barrett Freeman here with another episode of the PropertyTales podcast. I'm here with my realtor. She works with me at Freeman Brothers Realty, Kayla Yokley. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. You want to do a little intro?
Yeah, I'm Kayla Yokley. I work with Freeman Brothers Realty for the last 2 years.
What kind of work you been doing?
Mostly investment properties.
Yeah, how's that going?
Good.
So what we've been doing is we've been advertising we buy houses. It's completely different than any other realty company that's doing business in this area. We're saying message me on Freeman Brothers Properties on the Facebook page. If you've got a house for sale in any condition, we'll come look at it. Tell me what you did today when somebody messaged me a house.
Yeah. So today we went out and looked at a property. We look at any conditions and then we give options based on, market value and then investment value.
What was the condition of the house today?
The condition of the house today was pretty rough. It was structurally there, but the rest of it was not so much.
So what's your process as far as like evaluating the houses?
Yeah, so we run comps on the area and kind of see what's been selling market-wise, and then we run it that way. And then we also do comps for investment-wise as far as rentals and fixing it up and what an investor would have to put into it to make money.
And then it depends on how can the investor make enough rent to cover
Yes.
what money they have in the house. Two separate different analysis. And unfortunately, it is a little complicated, and a lot of people have trouble understanding when they think their house is worth $100,000, but we're offering 70. So, we do run to that a little bit. So then Kayla sends me pictures and videos, and we talk about it. And we usually tell the person, it's worth. What do you tell them?
I say I'm going to give you your options. So I give them a market analysis if it were to sit on the market, which it could sit on the market for months. So it could be, a drawn out thing.
But that is how you get the top dollar.
Yeah, if you're willing to wait and hope for that number, then yes. But the other route would be to push it out to investors at the lower end, and we can usually get a deal pretty fast. So
that's the benefit. Usually get a deal within a week.
Yeah.
But it generally about 30% lower than what you get on the market. But these houses are costing these people money. I mean, they're making a bank payment, they're paying insurance, they're paying taxes. So even if the house is abandoned, actually that'd be the worst case scenario. But if the house is abandoned, then they're paying money and not getting any. Best case scenario is the house is falling down and there's renters. We get leads like that too. Landlords that are just tired of managing the property, and they call us and just say, take this off my hands. What we offer. So we're looking at several houses this week. Realty has looked at several houses this week that are rented. I think tomorrow she's looking at 13. Look at everything, because there's so many ways to make money doing that.
Yeah.
And if you guys ever have any questions about how we do make money on that, if you want to get in on the investment side, or if you just want to learn how we're making money on the realty side, this is not rocket science, and we're very transparent with everybody. I mean, you literally run the exact numbers. What were the most recent numbers you ran with somebody?
The most recent numbers that I ran for market value would be about anywhere from 130 to 145. So I give a little bit of a gap, and then I also
that's for the market.
Yeah, and then I also tell you, what kind of closing and stuff, what the cost would be for that, and kind of give them an estimate so they know what they're facing.
And then what did you say as far as the investors, what they would offer, the same thing?
Yeah, and then the investor is about 80 to 90. So a lot lower, but your closing is looking at way faster. It could sit on the market for 6 months, and you're still having to make that payment. So
also, how many times has somebody on the market made a contract and then backed out?
Right.
So these investors have the money.
Yeah.
So that it gives me a peace of mind when I'm dealing with an actual investor, somebody that's in the commercial world. I think that I've talked to a lot of realtors in the area. Nobody's making money off calls from just the public.
Right.
Will you list my house? Will you have me buy my house? But we are getting some buyer stuff. How are the buyer leads going for you right now?
The buyer leads are okay, but everything is much slower than what it was. But we still have plenty of things coming in.
What kind of what are the quality of the buyer leads that we're getting right now?
Um, I would say we mostly get investors, but I do have some buyers right now. But
Well, like the leads I gave you like today and yesterday.
yeah, some people don't understand the loan process and stuff, so we push it out to someone that is over loans.
So you're having to educate from very basic.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand the loan process, what you need, what you have to have. Some
What
people,
and I don't know the answer to this. When you call them, how's the conversation go? How do you do the conversation?
they usually don't know how to start, so I kind of ask them if if they talked to a loan advisor or anything, talk to a mortgage lender, and usually they say no. So I say that's going to be our first step. So I give them a list of people in the area, and I kind of hold their hands, give them the contacts, and then I touch base with them the next day. But while I have them on the phone, I get their email, and then we kind of go through what they think they would be wanting to pay or spend, and then I go through what kind of house that they're looking for, so that I can get started on that while we're doing the loan process.
How do you ever do any do you do any deep dive in their financials at that point, or do you wait?
They usually tell me. I usually don't have to ask. They kind of tell me the situation.
Like this, how much money we have in savings?
Yeah, they'll tell me like this is how much money I need to put down. But a lot of people don't understand, what they can afford. And I'm no loan advisor, so I can't exactly tell you either.
And I can't either because I don't know I don't know how the loan advisors come up with those numbers. But I always tell people, tell the loan officer what you'd like to afford.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they can make it work or get close. But I don't have any idea. I'm just so far removed and not in a good way.
Yeah, I kind of start with bedrooms and bathrooms, what they would have to have, and then what you're expecting, what in your head, what you think you would pay. And I get started on that number versus like they're out of the ballpark. Because if they're telling me, oh, 300,000, and the loan person's like, no, like 150, I just wasted a bunch of time.
So as far as the leads right now, are you having to talk to them every day, or do you have some that are very like actually going and doing what you need them to do?
I like to touch base every day, even if they say I'm going to call this person. It's really good that I check back because people get busy, they forget. Maybe they think that, I don't know, they get scared. So
I think that's the big one. I think they're just intimidated by the process.
yeah, it could be a scary process if you don't understand it. But
Well, the first thing the loan officer is going to want is probably your last 2 years of tax returns.
yeah,
And maybe some pay stubs. And who saves that?
right.
And, I mean, I do because I'm in the commercial world and the banks are needing that from me all the time. But most people, they buy 1 or 2 houses in their whole life. So it's probably intimidating just be like, okay, well, how do I get my tax return from last year?
Yeah, even like first time home buyers, they think that you have to have this big amount of money down to even purchase a home. And there's so many different types of loans that people just don't even realize that some loans you don't have to put anything down.
There's a 0% down payment loan program. I don't know anything about it, but we just sold a house that somebody had to put 0.
Right.
In fact, they did a $3,000 seller commission or a concession where we're like, if there's any closing costs, we'll pay up to $3,000 of them. They ended up getting a pocket money because there wasn't $3,000 in closing costs.
Right.
So all of a sudden, the closing officer's giving them a check for like $800. I was like, wait a second, how come they're leaving with money? And like, because there's $3,000 concessions, like that's for closing costs. That's not to give them cash. But I mean, it wasn't enough that we were going to like stop the closing. But I was scratching my head, being like, I didn't think seller concessions meant buyers are walking with a house and a check for money. So those exist.
Came out
good. those exist. So we want people to know about that. If you are an investor, reach out to us because we are getting all kinds of messages on Facebook. People saying, I have a house for sale. And Kayla's going all over Southeast Kentucky right now evaluating them. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones, but they're all worth something as far as for the investor side. So did you have a chance to reach out to the investors today?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, if you need help with that, let me know.
Yeah.
Because I talked to one of the investors today, and he asked me, he's like, do you have any doors like you're sitting on? And I'm like, I promise we're not. We're getting them out as fast as we can, because we have these guys that'll buy anything for under $120,000. And if you have a house out there for $120,000 or less, I mean, give us a call because we'll come look at it. We can probably move it pretty quickly. So So that's that's the We Buy Houses section.
Yep.
So when you reach out to somebody that wants to buy a house, what do you do and what do you say?
I give them a call and kind of explain who I am and what we do and the process of, market analysis and investor analysis.
Are they ever confused by a Tennessee number calling them?
Absolutely, all the time.
Are they ever confused because it's not me calling?
Yeah, I think everyone thinks that you run the world, so you do every single thing by yourself. But we're definitely out there doing the work too.
It does not feel that way because you are doing the hardest part of the job,
Yeah.
which is, you're filtering leads. That's no matter what industry you're in, that's got to be, it's just brutal.
Right.
Time wasters, people that maybe not wasting time on purpose, but just they can't buy a house right now and they don't know it.
Right.
I would never discourage somebody from reaching out and finding out what they can afford, what they can't. But there are a lot of people in this area, especially, that they're a little bit delusional with their finances.
Yeah, but I don't really mind that because at some point they're going to get their finances together and they'll come right back. So.
One thing people don't realize too is these mortgage brokers make money only when they close a loan.
Right.
So they want you to get your finances in order so you can do a loan.
Right.
Like Ben Minton, I always brag about Ben, but he'll do a 3-month plan or a 6-month plan with people and say, okay, if you take these steps in 6 months, we can do a deal. And he did that with a young couple that they've been renting from me for 5 years. Perfect on-time payments for 5 years, kept the house perfect. We approached them and said, it's been a little ridiculous. You've been in this house for 5 or 6 years. Why don't you turn your rent into a mortgage? We needed some cash anyway. So it's like, if you want to buy the house, we'll even give you here's what your house is worth on the market. We gave them like a 15% discount based on what the house would go in the market. Because they've been great renters. We need cash. We were trying to make it attractive to them. And they said yes. We put them in touch with Ben. They weren't there financially with whatever the issue was. I would never know. But Ben said in January, 6 months from now, if you do these steps, you'll be ready. We wanted them to stay with us. They've been great renters. But if there was something that could benefit both of us, then I was excited to do that. So Ben will literally look at your finances, your credit score, and say, do X, Y, and Z. You'll be able to buy a house in some time period. Yeah. Nobody's so far gone that they can't turn things around financially. I've not seen it.
There's always got to be some kind of solution. So even if you can't do it right now, and even if, Ben couldn't do it, I'm sure he could point you in the direction of how to get it done.
Oh, I agree.
Everyone has an answer.
But that's what's beautiful about those mortgage guys. They are so incentivized to work really hard with you because they don't get their time. They don't get paid for their time until they tell you until a house is sold. So
same thing with us.
Yeah, and banks are that way. Banks are the opposite. I try not to badmouth banks because I work with a lot of banks, but they're not incentivized to do loans. They're paid salary. Sometimes I've got bankers that I have to call once a week and be like, what's going on with their loan? Like, oh, actually, just today we got the report back that we needed, so we're going to push it to the next desk. I was like, oh, you got it just today?
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I meant to call you.
Yeah, and so, the salary guys just, it's just human nature. There's no incentive for them to work fast.
Yeah.
Bad.
Same thing with online lenders.
I've not dealt with any. What was your experience?
I had 2 people that use online lenders. I told them let's not do online lenders because I had already heard horror stories. And it was a day before closing, and they were like, well, our underwriting didn't go through correctly. Like, we can't give you the house.
Like, period?
Period, done. Then the underwriting process, we'll have to redo maybe the whole underwriting, but we can't guarantee, even with the underwriting, that you're going to get the house. So we had to go switch the whole loan to a whole nother bank and hope that the seller would still stick with us.
And that started the process over, the 30-day process?
It was literally like 3 months. And luckily the seller just wanted to sell to them. So
did that deal close? What a
that
miracle.
deal did, but I had another deal that went through an online lender, did not close. We switched to, I told the girl, online lenders are difficult. The underwriting process is just way different than a normal lender. And
do you remember what underwriting company, but what online lender it was?
I don't remember.
I've been seeing Rocket Mortgage a lot, which is owned by Berkshire Hathaway, and which is a big company, pretty reputable. I've not heard any horror stories with Rocket Mortgage, but they're the only ones that I don't like scoff at when I see some goofy company I've never heard of from Wisconsin that's giving loans out.
Yeah, I don't remember what the loan was, but I know like the second girl, hers didn't go through at all. I told her to switch to a regular bank, a regular mortgage company. And she was like, no, I'm getting a better rate. And I'm like, well, you could risk losing the whole house. And the seller did not wait. 2 months in, they had already waited. They were done.
And it's understandable,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's plenty of content for this. So it's been nice having you back in the studio.
Yeah.
Is this your first podcast in this setup?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Thanks for having me today. If you guys need me or need any help with buying, selling, or investing, give me a call. Go like my Facebook page, follow me, and thank you.
Yeah, it's been fun. This has been Barrett Freeman with the PropertyTales podcast. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next time.
See ya.